I've been a solo hiker for about 6 years now. I've spent enough time in the wilderness that I feel pretty comfortable straying from the main trails. I guess that's what got me into this situation in the first place. This all happened last October in the Monongahela National Forest in West Virginia. I had driven up from Virginia for a long weekend, and my plan was to hit some of the more remote sections, the ones that don't see a lot of foot traffic. I was really looking forward to some genuine solitude. The weather was perfect for it, probably in the mid-50s. It was overcast, but there was no rain in the forecast. I was maybe 4 hours into the hike when I came to the edge of what I can only describe as a gorge. Now, it wasn't some massive canyon or anything, but it was deep enough. I'd say it was about 30 or 40 feet down to a rocky bottom where a small creek was running through. A fall from that height wouldn't be a guaranteed death sentence, but you would definitely break something. And looking at the walls, they seemed impossible to climb. They were just loose shale and overhangs. There was no way up or down. But spanning the gorge, wedged between both sides at a slight angle, was this massive fallen oak tree. It was pretty thick, and the bark on top was worn smooth, probably from the weather and other hikers using it as a makeshift bridge over the years. I spent a few minutes inspecting it, trying to gauge how sturdy it was. It looked solid enough, so I decided to go for it. I took my time, carefully walking across, just trying to maintain my focus and balance. When I finally reached the other side and my feet were back on solid ground, I realized I had this really nice adrenaline rush from the whole balancing act. It felt good. But then, I heard this sound behind me. It was a rhythmic thunking, a steady, heavy sound. I turned around, and there was a guy on the other side of the gorge, maybe 10 feet from where the tree met the bank. He was older, definitely in his 50s, and he was wearing this ratty camo jacket and old-looking jeans. He had this scraggly beard that made him look like a stereotypical lumberjack. It took me a second to realize what he was holding. It was an axe, a full-size felling axe. He walked right over to the base of the tethered giant oak I had just crossed and, without a moment's hesitation, he started swinging the axe at it. I was just stunned for a second. Then I shouted across at him, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" He didn't even look up at me. He just kept swinging. Thunk, 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 right into the base of the tree bridge. Chips of wood flew into the air with every impact. To my absolute horror, I watched as one of his swings landed a little deeper than the others. The whole tree shifted slightly, groaning under the force of the blow. I yelled louder this time, telling him to stop, telling him that I'd just crossed the gorge on that very tree. At that moment, it dawned on me. This guy probably already knew that. He saw me cross. He was trying to strand me on this side. He didn't show any sign of stopping. He just kept swinging with this relentless, methodical rhythm. So, I just started yelling increasingly insulting things at him. Just desperate, angry stuff that didn't even make sense. I was panicking. Finally, I yelled that I'd need to cross back to the other side to get to my car, and that's when he finally stopped. He looked up at me for the first time, and he said, in this completely casual voice, "That's not my problem." He said it like I'd just asked him about the weather. No anger, no emotion, just a flat statement of fact. I don't know why, but his casual tone just infuriated me. It was so dismissive, so cold. I kind of lost it and started full-on screaming at him, just letting out all the fear and anger I felt. Something I said must have finally hit a nerve because he abruptly stopped swinging the axe. He set it down on the ground and took a couple of steps closer to the edge of the gorge. Now I could see his face more clearly, and it was not a pleasant sight. His eyes were sunken and dark, almost like hollow pits in his face. He leaned over the edge, looking straight at me, and said, "I know these woods a lot better than you do." The way he said it sent a chill right through me. It wasn't just a statement, it was a threat. We stared at each other for what felt like an eternity. Then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, he picked up his axe, turned around, and walked back into the trees, disappearing from sight. The tree was still wedged in place, but it was not stable anymore. The edge on his side was splintered and cracked, severely weakened. Crossing back was now a huge risk. I pulled out my phone. Of course, I had no service. I was completely on my own. I decided to cut the hike short. My only option was to walk downstream along the edge of the gorge, hoping to find another place to cross. But as I walked, the gorge only got deeper, it got wider. The walls grew steeper and more impossible. The sun was starting to drop below the horizon, and the woods were getting darker. Real panic began to set in. The thought of being stuck out here overnight, with that man somewhere in the same woods, was terrifying. And that's when I stumbled upon it. A campsite. But this was no ordinary campsite. There was a crude fire pit, but all around it were strange carvings in the trees, unsettling symbols I didn't recognize. There were animal bones scattered on the ground, rusted tools, and pieces of cloth tied to the branches of the surrounding trees. The entire place just felt wrong. A deep, primal sense of dread washed over me, and I just ran. I didn't even think. I just booked it away from there as fast as I could. As I was running, I heard footsteps behind me, and not just one set. It sounded like multiple people. I glanced back and saw figures moving through the trees, flanking me. They weren't just chasing me. They were herding me, guiding me in a specific direction. One of them let out this horrifying scream, like a war cry, that echoed through the forest. It wasn't human. I ran until my lungs burned. I didn't know where I was going. I was just trying to get away. Then, up ahead, I saw another fallen tree spanning a narrower part of the gorge. Without even thinking about it, I scrambled across it, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't check if it was stable. I just went. When I reached the other side, I turned back. 3 figures stood on the side I had just left. They were standing there watching me, and they were all carbon copies of the Axeman. Same age, same ratty camo jackets, same scraggly beards. They just stood there, silently, like statues. Then one of them spoke, his voice low and gravelly. He just said, "Get the hell out of here." I didn't need to be told twice. I ran until I found the trailhead, until I saw the familiar sign in the gravel of the parking lot. I have never been so relieved to see my car in my entire life. I reported what I could to the authorities, but what could I really say? A weird guy with an axe threatened me. They found the damaged tree, but nothing else. I still hike. I can't let them take that away from me, but it's not the same. I stick to the main trails now. I'm always looking over my shoulder, and I can't shake the feeling that that man, the first one, knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew about the camp, he knew about the others. He wasn't trying to strand me. He was delivering me to them.